listen. Well, our ministry, as you know, friends, was accused of some things. That's the ministry in Baltimore, Greater Graceful Outreach, which I have been part of for many years. I was ordained a pastor. I was sent out as a missionary there, but accused of some very serious things, some of which I knew about, some of which I didn't. So then they commissioned a group called Grace, Grace, and they came out with a report right before Christmas, and now the elders of GGWO have just responded to that. And that's probably where I want to go first, friends, is that I very much welcome, how the elders have responded, their humility, the wording they have used there in their response, which is available on the GGWO website. The word repentance, the words change, the words apology, the words sorry, the words empathy is everything that victims of abuse need to hear. However, no, I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say I really commend them for what they said there. Let's see now. I know that the Grace Report was recommending, there were 10 recommendations there, and I'll just say that I agree with about 5 of those, okay? And maybe I won't get into what I do and don't recommend, but I would say, friends, that especially, these groups, the Millstones, I just give their name because we love these people. We think of them a lot. Maybe don't agree with them on everything, but I'd say that, they have been very honorable as they can be in this whole situation. But they were looking for resignations. And I just frankly will say, friends, I wasn't, because the thing I was looking for is the word that they've used a lot, which is the same word for repentance, which is change. So that's maybe what I was looking for as a pastor and as an attendee of GGWO, was the word change. So I welcome that. And is it all going to happen overnight? No. Rome was not built in a day. So the thing I'd also mention, friends, is that there's been a lot of talk about Pastor Stevens over the years. Let me just, my screensaver, come on there, let me just fix that. So a lot of talk about Pastor Stevens over the years, and a lot of talk in this report also about that. And I'll say, friends, just given how much that Pastor Stevens was accused of, if this is all that they can come up with, which is just 1 or 2 very minor incidents, maybe they're not minor, maybe they're big, yes, of course they are. But given how much they brought up over the years about him, I think if this is all that can be proven and brought up, well, that's a good day. That is a better day than maybe a lot of people imagined. But there's 2 things about the report that I want to say, and I wanted to say this publicly. While I am very, very happy with GGWO and how far that went, I don't agree with the media. I don't agree with using the media, to further your cause, because that's just not how we do things. So the group that I just have to sort of say that I'm just not as happy about is Grace. Yes, because they are just a group. These are wonderful people, friends. But in Christianity, I believe we always have to be church-based. And I'm not so sure that they are. They may be based in Virginia and very close to a wonderful ministry there, but I don't think they're fully church-based. So I just say that because the doctrine that we've been taught over the years, which is immensely biblical, does teach a lot about warfare and the importance of the church. And I just I'm seeing them as not as versed in that as we are. I'll just say that, or other great ministries. So the apology was fantastic, but just to say, friends, the Grace didn't cover everything that was brought to their attention. What was brought to their attention was, through those who contacted them, was adult abuse. Some adults were abused, friends, under GGWO, and unfortunately they haven't apologized for that. So I just think a golden opportunity has been missed there, because it's not part of the report, you see. In some ways, I don't blame GGWO for not apologizing to adults. Now, let me put my hands up, and if someone sees this tape and says, well, wait a second, Pastor Aidan, they apologize to everyone. Well, I'd be happy for you to point that out to me in this statement, because I'm not seeing it there. So that's just a little disappointing that Grace didn't point it out, and I don't sort of blame GGWO that they didn't apologize for that. But the bigger sort of criticism, yes, for want of a better word, friends, is that obviously children were abused, and some adults were sexually abused and emotionally abused, and those have been apologized for. But the glaring overall concern I've had with GGWO, and maybe just in general, friends, is just, this is what I believe in general, is HR management. Okay, HR management. Now, why do I say that? Because Jesus did that. Okay, did Jesus choose his staff carefully? Did he screen them? Did he vet them? Did he know that the disciples and the apostles were going to represent him? Yes, he did. And that's why he chose them very, very carefully. And Paul did the same. And Paul and Barnabas had a falling out over John Mark. But that was good, because they went their separate ways. And, you know, I just think, friends, everyone that's part of any ministry, you know, I was giving the illustration to my wife yesterday about, it's not a ministry, but a political party, especially a political party that has been involved with terrorism and all of a sudden has forsaken the terrorism, and all of a sudden they're a good, clean party. Okay, but some of that party might have tendencies to go back to terrorism. So that happened in Northern Ireland with, I can say what it was, Sinn Féin. Yeah, they had someone in the government that, you know, just like some little nifty who got in there, and he started looking at files, and he said, well, I'm going to find out something about someone. And the whole government collapsed. Okay, so it's just, we have to be immensely careful of who is out there representing us, even though there's a need sometimes for staff. There's a tremendous need. So Jesus did this. Paul did this. Moses did this. He chose Aaron, and this is our message. We're going to go right to that in a moment, as soon as I stop talking about this. You know, Nehemiah had to have workers on the wall that he trusted that could hold a weapon in one hand and work in the other. What does it say? Yeah, to hold a weapon in one hand and to work on the wall in the other. We've got to have the best staff, friends, and they have to be fully vetted and fully screened. And that's not just background checks, that's just experience. That's, in our case, it's Bible college education. David, too, had mighty men. Joseph's brothers did not represent their father very well, because they threw Joseph into a pit, and that was bad. So I'm saying all that to say, friends, while I just conclude this part of the message saying that I welcome what GGWO said on Wednesday, the 14th of January, I'm not, however, happy with everything that Grace produced. I'm not completely happy with the Grace report, okay? And I've given you those two reasons. Number one is because all of the adults who were abused and who contacted Grace, they didn't get a mention in the report. And then secondly, I think the overall message, if you look down the report from missionaries to pastors to affiliation to volunteers to employees, the one glaring word is HR, human resources, management, director. Who does all that, you know? And, you know, why am I still in a position, friends, where we have this wonderful ministry in DC, but just because I love GGWO so much, this ministry is not affiliated with them right now. Is it friendly? Yes, of course. And that's the important point, friends, because that's all an affiliate is at the end of the day. It's just, I'm not sure what it means for GGWO's commitment to this ministry, and I'm not sure what my commitment has to be to them. Okay, so there we are, friends. I've said it all. So let's go